Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Heroes in a half shell. Turtle power.
Hey everybody, CJ here again for another video blog on prototypes. Today we're going to talk about packaging samples. So a couple times back we talked about proof cards, which is a part of that process, but we're going to look at now how they test out the packaging design and see if it's working. So first I'm going to show you this April, and let me actually take it out of the box here. I think it'd be a lot easier to see. We're getting a little glare. I can get it out carefully. All right. So this is an April 2. You can see the card back is all white. So also notice this interesting pattern here. If you're familiar with any of the other Playmates Toys lines, you might recognize that this is the die cut out of the Toxic Crusader card backs. So this April was put together on a blank Toxic Crusader card back. So, and you also notice if you look close here on the bubble, I'm not sure if you can read it there, but it says the plodding peanut eating mini mammoth. So this is a Dr. L bubble. They actually cut off a production card, and you can tell that because you can see the little remnants of the color and the printing there. So we're just doing a packaging design here check to see what April might look like. Possibly doing a weight test to see, you know, where the bubble will need to be located so that when it hung on a peg, it wouldn't hang like this. So that possibility for this. Not really sure what this was for. Ironically, it says April 13th of April 1992. So it's kind of cool that the April figure was prototype carded in April. So, and it says 5283, which is the SKU number, original April 2, handmade sample. The other really interesting thing about this particular one, which I'll note, even though it's not about packaging design, is if you look close there at her hand, you can see there's a little peg coming out of her hand. If you look at the guns too, and I think some of these remnants remain, not sure you can see it there, it's still too dark, but there's little holes as well in the guns and the camera. So they had this peg in her hand with the intention that you could pop in the accessories into that hole and accessories into that peg so that she would hold them better and grip them and they wouldn't fall out. But this is the only April I've ever seen. I've called it, sort of dubbed it Peg Hand April. I've not seen another sample other than this one on this card. So clearly this would be like a first shot early figure, which often would be what would end up on packaging samples. So there's our April 2. Move on to another one. This one's interesting as well. I've never seen a figure like this in any other line. So this is the Karate Mike from the Smash and Bash 'em line. Clearly a first shot. All the crazy colors, purple and neon green and gray. But it is literally stapled and taped to a piece of cardboard. Fairly thick cardboard. Nothing on the back there. You can see the writing on the top. 5242 Karate Mike for reference of packaging, 20th of July 1992. So my best guess for what this is that they were trying to check out the master carton. What the master carton is if you've ever gotten to a toy store and seen them unpacking the box and putting the figures on the shelves, the master carton is that packaging that holds 10 or 20 or 30 or however many figures. So what I'm guessing they were doing here is they didn't have any cardstock ready at this size. So they literally cut out a piece of cardboard in the right size, stapled this on, and they were checking to see what size box this might need to go into or fit into. So that's a theory. I don't know exactly if that's true or not. They could have just been putting on a card because they just wanted to see the size, or they could have been testing, you know, do we want it to be this big, or do we want it to be this big, or we want it to be this big or this big, and how wide we want it. They might have been testing just the general size of it. But 4 of these turned up, all of the Ninja Knockin' line. So there was 2 of the turtles and the 2 bad guys turned up on these kind of funky cardboard cards. It's the only thing like that I've ever seen from any line ever. So really interesting packaging test though. And finally, here is a Chief Leo, but he's on a shell slamming Mike card. So now some would say, you know, this could just be a miscard. So how would you tell the difference, right? Is this just a factory mistake that the wrong figure got on the wrong card, or is this indeed some kind of sample? So the only way you would know is to know where this came from. So this particular figure I picked up from a guy that was in the marketing department at Playmates Toys. So, and it was in his stuff. So I know for sure that this was not a miscard. This was intentionally done to test out attaching the blister to the card. So what they would do there is, since the card printing maybe wasn't ready yet, they take any card that was of the right size, as you saw with the April. They took a Toxic Crusader card and they would run it through the machine to basically test how this bubble would be attached. So how these are done is there's a little bit of glue that is put on the back side of the bubble, and then like a horn. If you remember, I talked about sonic welding. A horn, similar thing here, comes down and basically touches off on this and heats that glue ever so slightly and sticks it there, melts the glue to the bubble. So they would be testing the bubble here. They would want to make sure that it all fit, that there was nothing getting in the way when the horn came down, and that the horn fit over this thing well, didn't make any dents or scratches or anything as they were melting the glue on. And then just, you know, probably shook it a bit and maybe did some testing like that. Maybe did some pull testing to make sure that this thing wouldn't fall off the card. So, you know, it would be almost impossible to tell a miscard from a production sample and this kind of thing. You just have to know 100% where the provenance was and where it came from. Of course, if it had a price tag sticker on it, makes it less likely that it's a production sample. Although I have seen some production samples that actually got out of the factory and were sold at stores in some places. And you can tell that because sometimes you'll see a giant quality control label on there. And so that would be either a production, it could possibly be a pre-production sample, could also possibly be just the fact that occasionally as they're running toys once a month or so, they'll pull a few figures and quality check them to make sure nothing's gone haywire. When they do that, they'll often put the sticker on. So something like that could be, you know, after production had started and not a pre-production sample with the stickers on it, but have seen some of those that actually got out and were sold at stores. So that's it for the production carding and production samples of packaging. So hope you all learned something, and hope you're all doing well, keeping safe, and keep learning, keep collecting. See you next time.
Teenage Mutant